What is up, ladies and gentlemen? We are back with another F1 22 video. Big thanks to EA and Codemasters for giving me this opportunity to play the game early yet again. We're going to be doing 100% race at Abu Dhabi, driving as Sebastian Vettel, and this is against 110% AI, and I've actually increased the safety car frequency because why not? Just wanted to experiment. That way you guys have a good idea of when the safety car does come out, and it does come out a little less often. It's a bit more accurate depending on what incidents would warrant a safety car to come out. If you're wondering why Alex Jakes is commentating, I've switched it to Alex Jakes from Crofty because I just wanted to show you some of the new features in the game, and Natalie Pinkham is also in the game now.
As they anticipate the rundown into turn one, a bit like preparing to go into battle. The unknown situation will bring nerves, but that's a good thing. It'll keep them focused on the moment and on their surroundings as we build towards the start of the Grand Prix.
So yeah, hearing some new voices gives a little bit of extra life to the game. I'm using the Obama setup, of course. Here's all the settings that I'm using, and one of the metas I've found recently is I was using minimal tire pressures at this track. Of course, it's going to be higher temperatures around the circuit, but for me at least, when I was using this setup, running minimal pressures gave me such a bigger advantage, just being able to maintain the tires in the right temperature window, because when I had higher pressures it was basically impossible to keep the tires cool enough to be able to race these 110% AI. And last year, if you did that, you would have had instability problems if you ran such a low tire pressure, but this year you don't have those instability issues. Lining up on the grid now, manual grid formation, and we've gotten that pretty spot on. We got green, you can get purple if you get closer to the grid box. And it's 5 lights here for the Abu Dhabi Grand Prix, and away we go, driving as Sebastian Vettel from last place. We're going to try and see how far up the order we can get by the end of these 55 laps, and we've got plenty of time to do it, so there's no real reason to risk the front wing getting damaged into turn 1, but we pick up position in the form of Latifi up into P19 already, and coming up soon is where we're going to encounter our first track change from last year, where we're going to absolutely send it up the inside. A bit of front wing goes flying from one of the AI cars, but we make up a bunch of positions up into P16, and that is one of the prime overtaking places now against the AI, and potentially in league racing as well to make an overtake. And another great opportunity straight after heading into this chicane. AI going side by side, trying to battle it out. We're going to try and get ourselves involved and get alongside Magnussen if we can get a good enough exit coming out of the chicane. Magnussen's going to try and attack Ricciardo here. It looks like if we get enough of a tow from Ricciardo, we're going to make it 3 wide going into one of the new track changes in the form of this high-speed left-hander. You can really chuck it in there. Schumacher gets a bit out of shape there, causes a yellow flag, but luckily we don't overtake during the yellow flag, or else we would have been forced to give back that position. Now heading into one of the new profiled parts of the circuit. These two corners in particular, these left-handers, they're very off-cambered, meaning it's hard to attack them. You must attack the apex or else you will lose so much time. The penultimate corner of the circuit is now flat out. With heavy fuel load and also worn tires, it can be the case that you might lift like I did through lap 1 here, and also if you get a little bit of dirty air on top of that. But for the most part, dirty air doesn't play such a role as it did in F1 2021. So up into P14 after lap 1, not too bad. I will be trying to look to overtake as many cars that are in the same kind of performance level as the Aston Martin. The Aston Martin is currently the second worst car on the performance index, and we make contact with Norris there, and Schumacher gets all out of shape going through turn 5, and now Norris has a really good run on Schumacher, and we're going to try and get involved here using our ERS to try and get onto the back of Norris, and it looks like Schumacher has a bit more straight line speed, so we're going to try and make the most of it, diving up the inside of Norris, but Norris is forced to attack Schumacher to try and just defend that position, but in the end we managed to get around Norris. And next up, lap 6, we pull up to the back of Schumacher and make that easy overtake going into the high-speed left-hander, which is honestly a really fun corner now. I'm glad that they replaced the chicane with this corner because it makes the track just so much more flowing, not so much stop-start. And that's Gasly causing yellow flag. He's gotten all out of shape there, and you will see that the AI tend to lose their marbles a bit, and because of that we've actually gotten a safety car. So of course, starting on the softs, we're absolutely going to make a pit stop, lap 8 here. And one thing I did find with this build, it's a bit glitchy in this circumstance, is that when you have the gate to pull in here, you have to press the button a bit early because it's out of sync. But I'm sure when they release the game, they will fix that. But I'm just letting you know that is why I pressed the button early. I had to eyeball it because there's no real other way to guess apart from just eyeballing the distance, because I tried this earlier when I was practicing and I couldn't get the turn in right for the life of me, and it just turned out it was a bit out of sync. But we head under the track to rejoin on the outside, and we are up into P10. So having done our pit stop and being in the points, a pretty good effort so far, but we've got such a long way to go. We've only done 1/5 of the race so far, and we're going to be a full opportunist and try to overtake Yuki Tsunoda straight away going into turn 1. I know it's probably against the rules in the actual F1 rulebook, but nobody's going to tell the referee that I snuck up side by side with that car. And it looks like the two Mercedes have come together. Russell has made contact with Hamilton. I think Hamilton has damage, and Russell is out of the race with a mechanical failure. So this is going to leave Hamilton vulnerable to ourselves. We're going to try and go up the inside of the high-speed new left-hander, but we're unable to make the move. We've got some medium tires on, so our tires will be more durable the longer this race goes on. And we finally do make the move on lap 14. That puts us up into P5 after a few people have made their pit stops, including some of the front runners. And now on lap 18, Sainz, Ocon, and Perez have made their pit stops, which puts us up into P2. Alonso now into the pits, lap 19, and that gives us the lead of the race. So I know, of course, we've got a slower car than a lot of the AI, but we can definitely play the strategy to our advantage.
Okay, they're slowing down. It seems like there's some kind of problem with their car.
Now, this is big news because Sainz was catching us at a right rate of knots, and now that he's slower, it'll mean that he holds up all the AI cars that are building up behind him. So it gives us a bit of a window, and we're going to extend our stint for as long as possible while this is happening, because we're going to take full advantage so that when we make our pit stop, we come out on faster rubber, and then that way we have a better shot at fighting the cars that are faster than ourselves. As you can see, the tire wear isn't too bad. Because I was running these lower tire pressures, I think it did aid in helping to save the tires and not just the tire temperatures. I will also say that running lower pressures also helped me a lot getting on the power. It seemed that the traction was easier with lower tire pressures, which is somewhat realistic and makes sense. Sainz is now attacking us. They've resolved what issue they had with his car, and now that's brought the whole train of cars, including Alonso, Perez, and Ocon, who is just a little bit further back. But if we start battling, it's going to involve Ocon as well. Sainz having a look around the outside. I cover off the outside, and that allows Alonso, who was sneaking around in the back, to make a move into the chicane. But I'm okay with letting cars go up the inside there, because that allows me to get a better exit if I cover them off coming out of the chicane, and that's the important part. Alonso having another go. He's going to look around the outside, but if I hold the inside of this corner, usually it makes it pretty difficult for the AI to make a move around here. Also, if you make a move into the inside of that fast left-hander, it does open you up for a switchback, because that is very possible given the long radius of that corner. Going to bring the car over to the inside just to break the slipstream, as I saw that Sainz and Alonso were battling out, and Sainz has emerged in front of Alonso for the meantime. Lap 28 now, and we're approaching halfway race distance now. Alonso attacking us into the chicane yet again, but what I'm going to do is I'm going to let him go in front, so that way I get the DRS, and then that way going into the next straight, I can just use what is the final best overtaking opportunity on the circuit, so that way I get a break going through the tighter corners. And it looks like Perez is trying to get involved. We go 3 wide through the long left-hander, and I'm going to shut the door on all of them and hold our position in P1. We are leading this race, but now to cover off Sainz, I was really tossing up whether I should cover off Sainz, which we have decided to do, or whether I should stay out and prolong my stint and keep fighting with Alonso and Perez. But I thought Sainz was going to sneak up on us, so I thought it's better to make a pit stop. Try to get the undercut. I know I had to pick between 2 battles here. I'm not sure if the undercut will work, given that Alonso and Perez would have way faster pace than ourselves, regardless of the tire condition, to be honest, because they're just driving faster cars than us at a significant pace. And Gasly and Norris battling ahead of us. We're lucky to get out just in front of Albon, who was looking to make a move, so I had to use up a lot of the overtake button to just stay in front of Albon. That way he doesn't hold us up. Next up, Norris this is a really good opportunity to overtake the AI. Turn 5 being another part of the track that's a lot more satisfying to drive compared to last year's version of Abu Dhabi. There's a whole gaggle of cars here having a battle, and we're going to try and get involved, picking off one by one. Norris is the first, and you'll notice while all this is going on, Science is behind us. So while I tried to cover him off, I thought he was going to be a lot further up ahead than what he was, and now he's right on the back of us. Norris comes back at us, so the AI are very punchy at that corner in particular. They're not afraid to go side by side, and continuing the battle all the way to the tight twisty section of Sector 3. And Schumacher makes a little bit of an error while trying to battle Gasly, but we're on way better rubber at this point. These guys would be due for a pit stop, I think, in the not too distant future. It's lap 31, and as you can see, Gasly now peels off into the pit lane, and that leaves us into P6 with Leclerc ahead, who's on a different strategy to us, but he's got a much faster car. Perez emerges in front of us even after that massive undercut. He just had way more pace, and now he's got way newer tires than us, so he's just going to rocket ship away from us while Sainz is still trying to battle. I still think Sainz might have a slight issue with his car. Either that or his soft tires have gone off while I'm trying to keep him behind, and he's been stuck behind other AI cars from pitting a bit too early in my opinion. And he's trying to hold it around the outside. We got it covered, and that's involved Ocon in the battle now because we've been battling so much now. Ocon has gotten in front of Sainz, and it looks like we're going to have to defend from Ocon at this point. Alonso has also emerged in front of us, and Ocon has hit us in the rear, and we definitely didn't brake early, so he must have outbraked himself and gone into the back of us, and that's given him front wing damage, so he's going to drop off significantly now, and he does go into the pits. Verstappen and also Leclerc in the back, they're starting to make up a lot of ground now, so even though we are staying in third position for the meantime and keeping Sainz at bay, it might not be for long. Sainz is on extremely worn soft tires at this point, so it's not too hard to keep him behind, whereas Verstappen being on fresh mediums is much more of a threat. We gave Sainz the corner just to get DRS, and then that way we get him back on the next straight, and it makes it pretty trivial to stay in front of him. When you go through that fast left-hander, there's actually a few bumps in the road. It might look like you're making contact with another car, but it is just a fair few bumps in the road that unsettles the car. Lap 37, and it didn't take Verstappen long to get to the back of us, and he's actually made contact with us. Yellow flags. And I left him so much space, and he's just driven straight into us, so I really don't know what his AI is doing. He drove into me at Imola when I was driving as Latifi, and he's driven into me again in Abu Dhabi as well. Leclerc, another driver who's going to be like one of the main threats of this race, of course. Being in a Ferrari, it's a pretty difficult task to keep him behind when he's on better tires than ourselves now, but we're definitely going to put up a fight. We're going to use the DRS shenanigans we've been using as tactics all race, and we're going to take that position back and try to defend as hard as we can going into this chicane. And we were significantly under fuel for this race, but now the fuel's coming good after the safety car, and the next lap Leclerc tries to attack us again, and we're going to try and get him back using DRS for the next straight, similar to what we were doing to Sainz. So we let Leclerc have the corner, pick up DRS, make sure we cross that line behind him, and then just make sure we go up the inside of the high-speed left-hander or try to overtake him before we even reach that, which is even better. So I'm pretty confident at keeping at least one car behind. The difficulty comes when there's more than one car attacking you at the same time because you can't cover both of them at the exact same time. Leclerc tries to go around the outside this time because he didn't get a good opportunity earlier, and he's run into the back of us, and that's given us diffuser damage. He's made the same mistake as Ocon, and now he's going to have to pit for another front wing as well. So that's taken him out of the running. We didn't brake test him or anything. He just outbraked himself because I braked in the exact same position that I normally do. And now we've got Sainz, who's made his way up after making a pit stop earlier on. And he's caught up to us because of the diffuser damage. And Gasly is also caught up to us. So now we're in a three-way fight here. Gasly kind of runs over the curb and disrupts us, and that prevents us getting a good run on Sainz. And now we're either going to have to Hail Mary it going into this turn 9 to try and keep Sainz behind us, but I just don't think we're going to be close enough, and it looks like Sainz is going to get away because he's got better tires, he's driving a faster car, and unfortunately we got diffuser damage after our incident with Leclerc, and now Gasly's having a go. Like I said, happy to defend one car, but it looks like Hamilton's on the back of us as well. I'm not sure what that sound was. I think it was a bollard being run over, but we didn't run over a bollard, so it must have been Hamilton or Gasly who has hit a bollard, and Hamilton now in front of Gasly, who's making an attack on us, trying to go around the outside of turn 9. And now he's made the switchback, he's gone up the inside of turn 9, and there's not much we could have done to defend that because the track is so wide through that corner. And now it's the penultimate lap of the race. We've got to try and defend from Gasly, and we've got a yellow flag. Gasly has made the rookie mistake of 4 mistakes and just driven into the wall himself, and we come home to take the checker flag in P5. So that race had a bit of everything. The game says I won the race in the bottom left corner. Apparently Sebastian Vettel won the race, but that will be patched before the game comes out. Looks like it's basically an all Spanish speaking podium, and that was definitely a whole heap of fun. It's good to see Natalie Pinkham in the game as well. If you enjoyed the race, please leave a like. It makes my day if you do that. And as always, I'll see you all in a brand new one.